Hello, welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to master the classic dish of oxtail with rich and savory gravy. This dish is a true classic, steeped in tradition, and loved by many for its deep flavors and satisfyingly tender meat. We'll be embarking on a culinary journey, exploring the perfect balance of hearty oxtail and mouth-watering gravy. This process may seem complex, but with a little patience and the right ingredients, we'll be creating a restaurant-quality dish right in your own kitchen. So if you've ever wanted to create a restaurant-quality oxtail dish at home, stick around as I walk you through each step to achieve that deep, complex flavor and tender texture that makes this dish a crowd pleaser. Let's start by going over what you'll need. For this recipe, we're keeping it simple with ingredients that deliver a big punch. First on the list is 3 pounds of trimmed oxtails. Season these to taste with salt and pepper. To brown the oxtails, you'll need 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. For the base of our gravy, gather 1 large onion, 4 cloves of garlic, 1 tablespoon of tomato paste, a teaspoon each of dried thyme and smoked paprika, and 3 bay leaves. To bring it all together, you'll need 4 cups of beef broth and a medley of vegetables, including 2 chopped carrots, 2 stalks of celery, and 1 large bell pepper. As an optional addition, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar can be used to balance the flavors. As for tools, a heavy pot or Dutch oven, a wooden spoon, a chopping board, and a knife are all you'll need to get started. Let's dive in. Begin by prepping your oxtails. The first step is to season them, and don't be shy with your salt and pepper. These robust flavors will infuse into your dish as it cooks, creating a rich, savory backdrop for the other ingredients. Once they're nicely seasoned, it's time to heat your pot. Set it over medium-high heat and add your oil. Once it's hot but not smoking, it's time to brown your oxtails. Place them in the pot, being sure not to crowd them, and let them sizzle until they're browned on all sides. This should take around 10 minutes, and here's a tip. Don't rush this step. The browning process is crucial, as it builds a flavor foundation that'll enrich your entire dish. So take your time and enjoy the process. You're not just cooking, you're creating a culinary masterpiece. Once your oxtails are browned, remove them and set aside. Now, in the same pot, it's time to build our flavorful base. First, introduce your chopped onions and minced garlic to the hot pot. Stir them around, allowing them to dance in the residual oxtail juices and oil. As they saute, they'll soften, releasing their naturally sweet and aromatic flavors. You'll notice that the onions will start to take on a golden hue. That's when you know it's time for the next step. Now add your tomato paste into the mix. Stir it in well, ensuring the onions and garlic are beautifully coated. Allow it to cook for about a minute, just enough time to let the paste caramelize slightly. This process deepens the flavor of the tomato paste, bringing a richness that will permeate throughout our dish. This caramelization step is essential for a deep, concentrated flavor. Now, add the thyme, paprika, and bay leaves, stirring constantly. These spices are going to infuse our gravy with warmth and depth, creating layers of flavor that will make your taste buds dance. As you stir, you'll notice the aroma changing, becoming richer and more complex. That's a good sign. Next, it's time for the beef broth. Pour it in and stir well. This helps to lift any browned bits off the bottom of the pot, which are packed with flavor. It's these little details that transform a good dish into a great one. With the broth stirred in, it's time to reunite the oxtails with the pot. Nestle them into the liquid, which should almost cover the meat. Now, we're ready for the magic to happen. Bring this to a boil, then reduce the heat to low, cover, and let it simmer. This is where the magic happens. Simmering is a vital step that allows the oxtail to transform from tough to meltingly tender. It also gives the flavors ample time to meld together, creating a gravy that's rich and nuanced. But remember, patience is the key here. We're going to let this simmer for about 3 hours. Yes, you heard it right, 3 hours. It may seem like a long time, but trust me, it's worth every minute. Halfway through the simmering process, it's time to introduce some more characters to our flavorful play. We're adding our chopped carrots, celery, and bell pepper. These vegetables will slowly release their sweet, earthy flavors into the gravy, adding another layer of complexity. They will soften and soak up the savory juices, becoming little flavor bombs in their own right. These veggies will contribute sweetness and depth to the gravy. Here's a pro tip. As you're cooking, you might find that your gravy has a bit too much of a tang or intensity for your liking. The flavors are robust, and sometimes they can be a tad overpowering. But don't worry, there's a simple solution to this. What you can do is stir in a couple of tablespoons of brown sugar. Why brown sugar, you ask? Well, brown sugar has a beautiful, deep sweetness that works wonders in balancing out the acidity in the gravy. It doesn't just sweeten, it also adds a bit of complexity to the flavor profile. It's like adding a warm, rich undertone that beautifully complements the robustness of the oxtail. And the best part? You can adjust to taste. Start with a little, and if you feel it needs more, go ahead and add some. It balances the acidity and adds a slight richness that complements the oxtail perfectly. After about 3 hours, your oxtail should be fork tender. This is the moment we've been simmering for. But how can you tell? Well, the best way to check for doneness is by using a fork. Simply insert it into the meat. If it goes in effortlessly and the meat is falling off the bone, congratulations. Your patience has paid off and your oxtail is perfectly cooked. But what if it's not? If you find the meat is still a bit tough or isn't quite falling off the bone, don't worry. This isn't a sign you've done something wrong. It simply means your oxtail needs a little more time on the stove. Remember, cooking times can vary depending on the size of the oxtails and the type of pot you're using. So, if it's not quite there yet, just give it a bit more time. Once the oxtails are tender, you might want to skim off any excess fat from the top of the gravy. This is an optional step, but it can make your dish feel lighter and less greasy. Now let's talk about the final seasonings. Taste your gravy. Does it need a bit more salt? Perhaps a dash more pepper? This is your dish, so feel free to make it just the way you like. You can even add a pinch more smoked paprika for a deeper, smokier flavor. Remember, the key to a great dish is balance. You've taken your time to build up layers of flavor, so make sure the seasoning showcases this. Once you're happy with the taste, turn up the heat slightly and let your oxtail and gravy simmer uncovered for another 10 minutes. This will help to thicken the gravy, intensifying its richness and making it the perfect consistency to coat your tender oxtail. Your oxtail and gravy are now ready to serve. The beauty of this dish is its versatility. It pairs wonderfully with a variety of sides. For those who enjoy a classic combination, white or brown rice makes an excellent choice. The rice absorbs the rich, savory gravy, creating a flavor-packed bite with every spoonful. If you're a fan of potatoes, consider serving this oxtail with a side of creamy mashed potatoes. The smooth, buttery potatoes contrast beautifully with the tender, flavorful meat. And for the bread lovers among us, there's nothing like a slice or two of crusty bread to mop up the delicious gravy. It's a simple and soulful choice that never disappoints. Of course, feel free to mix and match or come up with your own pairings. This is your culinary masterpiece after all. It's a hearty dish perfect for family dinners or when you want something special and comforting. There you have it, folks. Your oxtail and gravy are now ready to serve. This dish goes wonderfully with rice, mashed potatoes, or even some crusty bread to soak up all that delicious gravy. It's a hearty dish perfect for family dinners or when you want something special and comforting. We've journeyed together through each step of creating a sumptuous oxtail and gravy dish, from the careful seasoning and browning of the oxtails to the slow simmer that coaxes out the deep, complex flavors. Remember, it's the attention to details like caramelizing your tomato paste and balancing flavors with a touch of brown sugar that takes this dish from good to great. I encourage you to roll up your sleeves and dive into making this crowd-pleasing recipe. There's nothing quite like the satisfaction of serving up a dish you've poured your time and love into. Enjoy your homemade oxtail and gravy. And remember, good food is all about patience and passion. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial on how to make the perfect oxtail and gravy. I hope you feel confident to try this recipe at home. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming delicious recipes. Until next time, happy cooking.